He wasn't just a singer, he was a phenomenon. When his voice echoed, when he moved, the world stopped to listen. But Michael Jackson's life was a road where magic and darkness walked side by side. The world saw his stage persona, but few truly knew what happened behind the curtain. In a small house in Gary, Indiana, one of 9 children was born. His father, Joseph Jackson, was strict and demanding. All of the children had musical talent, but Michael's voice stood apart. Joseph formed a band with them, the Jackson 5. At just 5 years old, Michael was already performing on stage. The young boy's energy, his moves, his voice, they mesmerized audiences. By the 1970s, the group had become one of America's biggest sensations. But fame changed everything, especially for Michael. Childhood, which should have been filled with freedom and play, turned into rehearsals and stage lights. While other kids were out playing ball, he was singing and dancing before thousands. There was something rare about young Michael. He was alive only when he was on stage. But off stage, he often didn't know who he was supposed to be. Forced into adulthood too soon, he would later spend his life trying to find the childhood he lost. The Thriller album was released. It didn't just break records, it redefined music history. Every track became a hit. The videos looked like short films. Michael became a global superstar. MTV, Grammys, world tours, everything was at his feet. But standing that high meant being completely alone. Around that time, his appearance began to change. The world noticed, speculated, and judged. Some said it was plastic surgery. Others said it was a skin disorder. Whatever the reason, Michael was no longer the boy they thought they knew. Yet the greatest blow wasn't the criticism. It was the suspicion. In August 1993, headlines exploded with a shocking accusation. Michael Jackson had allegedly abused a 13-year-old boy, Jordan Chandler. The world froze. The king of pop, adored by millions, suddenly stood at the center of a horrifying claim. Investigations began. The media erupted like wildfire. Every network, every newspaper lived off his story. Michael spoke out, denying everything. He said, "I would never harm a child. I love children because I never really had a childhood myself." But not everyone believed him. Police searched his home, Neverland Ranch, a place once built for joy, now turned into a site of suspicion. The investigation stretched for months. The world divided itself. Half believed in his innocence. The other half condemned him. In 1994, the case never reached court. Michael and the Chandler family settled privately. According to official records, he paid a large sum in a civil agreement, but he never admitted guilt. He insisted, "My conscience is clear. I just want peace and the laughter of children." But trust was broken. The media never let him rest. Every photo, every rumor became a weapon. In 1995, he returned with the History album, an outpouring of anger, pain, and defiance. Through his music, he spoke about injustice, about being misunderstood. Yet the storm around him didn't fade. In 2003, journalist Martin Bashir released Living with Michael Jackson, a documentary meant to show his real life. Michael opened his world, Neverland, his dreams, his gentle side. But one moment changed everything again, when he spoke of sharing his bedroom with children. He said it was innocent, about friendship. The world thought otherwise. Soon after, police reopened their case. In November 2003, Michael Jackson was arrested again, accused of child molestation. He was released on bail, but the damage was done. This time, the public's forgiveness was gone. Headlines screamed, "Has the king of pop finally fallen?" Michael endured it all. He denied every charge, but faith in him had withered. His friend Liza Minnelli said, "He's a very fragile soul. The world has been cruel to him." By 2004, the pre-trial hearings began. Michael was exhausted, thinner, weaker, yet still holding on. He avoided cameras, his health deteriorated, and his eyes often looked lost. But the media kept chasing him, feeding on every gesture, every stumble. March 2005, the trial began. It wasn't just a court case, it was a modern-day spectacle, watched by millions. Witnesses, doctors, neighbors, all were called to testify. Every word, every image broadcast across the world. Michael sat silently in the courtroom, eyes downcast. Sometimes he looked up and smiled faintly at his lawyers. The world's most famous man, yet in that moment, he was the loneliest.
June 13, 2005. The world's eyes were fixed on the Santa Maria courthouse. After months of trial, the day of the verdict had arrived. Millions waited, hearts heavy with tension. The courtroom was packed. Every breath, every whisper could be heard. Lawyers stood in front, reporters and cameras behind them, everyone staring at the door. Then Michael entered. Fragile, pale, but calm. A white shirt, a dark suit. Eyes tired, but steady. He took his seat and lowered his head. The judge began to read. The jury finds the defendant, Michael Jackson, not guilty on all counts. For a moment, the room was silent. Then came tears, gasps, quiet sobs of relief. Michael stood slowly. There was a trace of a smile, faint, exhausted. It wasn't joy. It was the sigh of a man finally free, yet broken inside. He had been acquitted, but the world didn't forgive so easily. A verdict could clear his record, but not the shadow that followed him. Trust had been shattered, and nothing could repair it. After that day, Michael began to disappear from the public eye. Neverland, once a magical kingdom, became silent and abandoned. Friends grew distant. Cameras turned their lenses elsewhere. He realized he had lost something more precious than fame, trust. He wanted to live only through music, but the world refused to let go of his past. Between 2006 and 2008, he moved from place to place. Bahrain, Ireland, London. He searched for peace, for quiet. Sometimes people caught glimpses of him on a street, in a restaurant, but he was no longer the bright, smiling Michael they remembered. His voice softer, his face thinner, his eyes lost in thought. Those close to him said he often sat alone for hours. Sometimes he would laugh and play with children, and then fall silent again. He tried writing music, but the spark that once fueled him seemed to fade. Then came the news that shocked the world. Michael Jackson would return to the stage. The show was called This Is It. 50 concerts, London. Tickets sold out within minutes. Fans believed the king was coming back. But behind the excitement was exhaustion. Rehearsals, pressure, sleepless nights, his body could barely keep up. Still he pushed himself. He told one friend, "This might be my final curtain call." By his side was Dr. Conrad Murray. Michael couldn't sleep. Anxiety haunted him. To help him rest, the doctor began administering propofol, a powerful anesthetic meant for hospitals, not bedrooms. June 25, 2009. Around noon in Los Angeles, a 911 call came through. Michael Jackson is not breathing. Within minutes, the world stopped again. TVs, radios, websites, all repeated the same words: Michael Jackson has died. 50 years old. At the edge of a comeback, his heart had stopped. Doctors tried everything. It was too late. The cause? Cardiac arrest due to acute propofol intoxication. Dr. Conrad Murray was later found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. The planet fell silent. Crowds gathered in the streets, crying, singing, holding candles. His songs played everywhere. Posters filled the cities. Tens of thousands stood outside his home, the hospital, the arenas that were meant to host his final shows. Michael Jackson was gone. But not really. Because he had become something beyond life. He had become music itself. People remembered him in different ways. Some still called him guilty. Others saw him as a man destroyed by the world's cruelty. But all agreed on one thing: there would never be another like him. He was the boy who never truly had a childhood, yet gave childhood back to millions through his art. He was the man who stood between fame and loneliness, between kindness and pain. Neverland stood empty, but his voice, his moves, his tears, they remained alive in hearts of millions. Michael never found peace in life, but in death he reached eternity. People still ask, why was he so mysterious? Why did he live in his own world? Maybe he simply wanted to see life through a child's eyes, to play, to dream, to heal the world that had hurt him. He's gone now. But every note, every step, every whisper carries his spirit. Michael Jackson wasn't just a singer. He was the symbol of the fragile beauty inside every human soul. Fame lifted him to the heavens. Society dragged him down. But time placed him back where he belongs, high above, forever shining, where the music never ends.